Welcome to Short Movie Channel. The movie begins in Canada, specifically, in northern Canada, the coldest and harshest part of the country, where a large group of miners are working in underground tunnels. As part of safety procedures, there's supposed to be a methane gas detector inside the tunnel to alert the workers in case of a gas leak. Methane gas is known to come from deep underground during drilling, and it must be handled with extreme caution because it's highly flammable. However, the sensor is malfunctioning. The site engineer notices the device is off, so he asks the technician responsible about it. The technician responds carelessly, saying he doesn't know, maybe the batteries died. Suddenly, there's a massive explosion in the back of the tunnel. The blast is so powerful it flips a large transport truck that was driving on the snowy mountain road above. The managers of the drilling company rush out of their offices to see the explosion. One of them runs out of the building to check what happened. Inside the tunnel, the workers feel the shock and hear the explosion even more intensely than those on the surface. The engineer notes that the cause of the explosion is a methane gas leak. He quickly tells all the workers to run and evacuate the tunnel. The workers begin to exit, but in a chaotic and unorganized way. Then, a second explosion hits before the rest of them can get out, causing rocks to collapse and block the exit, trapping the remaining workers inside. Emergency sirens go off across the whole site. On the other side, we meet Mike, a truck driver, who's parking his truck at his worksite. His brother Gertie is with him. Two co-workers are picking on Gertie because he has a slight intellectual disability. Mike ends up punching one of them, knocking him to the ground. As a result, the manager fires both Mike and Gertie. Mike and his brother leave the site and get into their truck. They argue for a bit because Mike is no longer able to handle the responsibility of caring for Gertie. Mike is also considering putting Gertie in a facility where professionals can take care of him. He thinks it would be better for both of them. Mike takes Gertie to the hospital and tells the doctor honestly that he can't deal with his brother's behavior anymore. He asks the doctor to admit him to the hospital and not send him back. While the staff runs tests on Gertie, Mike leaves. When he returns later, he finds that his brother has been delayed inside. He goes in to talk to the doctor and finds out the doctor prescribed a very strong medication that doesn't meet medical standards and could actually worsen Gertie's condition. So, Mike grabs his brother and leaves the hospital. Back at the tunnel, the company managers call the minister on the phone and report what happened. The minister reminds them of safety protocols and says they must immediately stop operations and try to rescue the trapped workers as fast as possible. The managers tell the minister that there's only one way to save them, bringing in a special drill to dig them out. The minister says he'll coordinate with the Air Force to get the drill transported quickly. However, the Air Force refuses for two reasons. First, the drill weighs 25 tons, and second, the site has no runway or proper place for aircraft to land, so flying it in is impossible. The minister ends the call with the officer and contacts his team, telling them to go to someone named Patrick, a skilled driver, and offer him the mission with a very attractive payout. A government agent approaches Patrick with the offer, but Patrick initially refuses, calling it a suicide mission. Just as the agent is about to leave, Patrick changes his mind and agrees, on one condition: he needs to form a team because the mission is too risky for one person, and they need to save time. What motivates Patrick even more is that among the trapped workers is the brother of a woman he knows named Tantu. Patrick starts sending messages to all the drivers he knows. One of those messages reaches Mike. When Mike receives the message, he starts thinking it over, especially considering how dangerous the mission is. But Gertie encourages him to do it. That support convinces Mike, and especially after hearing that the money offered is worth the risk, he agrees to join the mission. Mike and his brother head to Patrick's work site. At the same time, Patrick goes to see Tantu, the girl whose brother is one of the workers trapped inside the tunnel. He invites her to join the mission. Tantu has just been released from jail because she was arrested during a protest against the police. Once she finds out her brother is among the trapped workers, she immediately agrees to help. Patrick returns to the work site and finds a group of drivers waiting, including Mike and Gertie. He reviews all the drivers' files and is impressed by Mike's file, noting he's a highly skilled driver, especially in icy, mountainous terrain. Patrick talks with Gertie and realizes something's off about him. Mike pulls Patrick aside and explains that Gertie is his brother and also his mechanic. While Gertie is a mechanical genius, he has some mental health challenges. Patrick takes Mike and Gertie into the workshop and gives Gertie a test. He has to disassemble a truck engine within a set time. Gertie quickly dismantles and reassembles it in less time than expected. Patrick is blown away and agrees to hire them for the mission. Meanwhile, inside the tunnel, the trapped workers are starting to suffocate due to low oxygen levels, and methane gas is leaking into the air, making it even harder to breathe. They realize they only have a few hours left before it's all over. Since they're tunnel workers, they know how long it takes to transport a drill. It's at least 30 hours. Back outside, Patrick assembles his full team, Mike, Gertie, and Tantu, and they head to the truck depot. He shows them the 3 drill heads, explaining that if 1 or 2 trucks fail, at least one should make it to the site. Patrick tells them they'll be driving 3 separate trucks, and if the mission succeeds, they'll earn a $200,000 bonus, split 4 ways. At the depot, they meet a friendly-looking guy named Tom from the insurance company. He explains that the terms between the drilling company and the insurance company require him to accompany them on the mission. Patrick drives 1 truck solo, Mike and Gertie take the second, and Tantu drives the third with Tom riding with her. They begin their journey across the ice road, moving in a line at steady speeds. Night falls, but they keep driving until morning. That's when the problems start. Patrick's truck begins to break down. Mike and Tantu turn back to check on him. Gertie takes out his tools and links the 3 trucks together with cables. But part of the icy road collapses, and Patrick's truck begins to sink into the water. The cable gets wrapped around Patrick's leg, and as the truck pulls him down, he yells to Tantu, whose truck is also getting dragged, to cut the rope. He tells her to do it so the others can survive and deliver the drills. Though she's devastated, Tantu eventually cuts the rope. Patrick sinks with his truck to the bottom of the lake. The rest of the ice starts to collapse, so the team has to move forward without mourning Patrick. They still have a long, dangerous road ahead, and the ice behind them is cracking fast. They make it to a slushy snow-covered area, but both trucks start sliding on the icy mud and flip over. Thankfully, all 4 survive the accident. Mike and Gertie pull out tools and winches from the trucks to get them upright again, which they manage to do. But before they continue, Tom from the insurance company confronts them, claiming he saw Tantu near Patrick's truck before it crashed and accuses her of sabotaging it. He adds that she had a grudge against Patrick since he had fired her in the past. Mike and Gertie begin to suspect she might be guilty and confront her. Tantu denies it all and grabs her gun, pointing it at them. She insists that she, more than anyone, wants the equipment to reach the tunnel. Her brother is trapped in there too. Gertie sneaks up behind her, restrains her, and takes her gun. They tie her to a chair while they finish fixing the trucks. Back in the tunnel, the workers are panicking. Some suggest sacrificing the injured to conserve oxygen, but the head engineer refuses. Meanwhile, Mike and Gertie prepare to move out again, but Tom takes advantage of the distraction. He locks them inside their trailer, steals their gear, and heads to Tantu's truck, where she's still tied up. He hits her, then grabs some dynamite, lights it, and throws it under Mike and Gertie's trailer. Then he takes off in Tantu's truck, heading back to town. Inside the trailer, Mike and Gertie break open the AC vent that leads to the cab and manage to escape just seconds before the dynamite explodes. They get out safely and prepare to continue the mission, but they realize the trailer tires are sinking into the ice and the truck is about to submerge. They detach the trailer and pull out a long, sturdy beam. They dig into the ice and use it to try and winch the truck to safety. But the truck is too heavy, and the beam begins to snap. Gertie warns Mike not to pull any further, but Mike, frustrated, punches Gertie and continues on his own. The beam breaks and hurls Gertie into the freezing water along with the trailer. Mike panics and dives in after him. He manages to save Gertie and brings him back to the surface. Unsure of what else to do, Mike grabs his brother and drives off in the truck without the trailer, determined to find Tom and get their equipment back. At that moment, Tom arrives at Mr. George, the head of the drilling company. It turns out Tom is actually a criminal, and George had hired him to stop the drilling trucks from reaching the tunnel, leaving the workers trapped inside to suffocate. George's plan was to make sure no one made it out alive to expose his conspiracy. George was the one who ordered someone to disable the methane gas sensors, which caused the explosion in the tunnel. George tells Tom to take his truck, with Tantu inside, and push it off the mountain, making it look like just another accident. Meanwhile, the workers who were bribed to disable the gas sensors finally confess the truth to their engineer. A big fight breaks out between them, and due to the lack of oxygen, tensions rise. Some of them want to sacrifice the weaker ones to conserve air and increase their own chances of survival. But the engineer stops them, telling them that killing people isn't the solution. When he sees they're not listening, the engineer pulls out a lighter and threatens to ignite the gas, saying if they keep this up, they'll all die anyway. The threat works, and the fighting stops. At the same time, Tom drives the truck with Tantu inside, planning to push it off the cliff. They get into a brutal fight, and Tantu manages to knock Tom out of the truck. But Tom falls under the truck, grabs the fuel hose, rips it out, and lets the fuel leak while he lies on the ground. Then he runs to one of his men, kicks him out of his snowmobile, and speeds off after Tantu's truck, which is now leaking gasoline. Meanwhile, Mike and Gertie are getting close to the location, but a group of George's men show up on snow bikes and start chasing them. Mike manages to get rid of them. Just as expected, Tantu's truck runs out of gas and stops. Tom catches up and gets out of his vehicle, planning to go after Tantu. But suddenly, Mike and Gertie show up and ram Tom and his vehicle off the icy cliff. Even then, Tom doesn't die. He finds one of his men's snowmobiles and takes off again to get back to them. Gertie quickly tries to fix the fuel hose, racing against time because they've already lost too much of it. Tom climbs the mountain above where they're parked and plants sticks of dynamite into the snow. He sets them off, causing a massive avalanche that comes crashing down. Mike, Gertie, and Tantu are shocked, and they quickly jump into the trucks to escape. But Tantu's truck, with the drill inside, crashes into a tree, and one of its arms gets stuck. Mike and Gertie run to help. They break the branch off her arm and detach the trailer from her truck. They take off with their own truck. Tom, arriving late, finds the abandoned trailer and starts chasing them. Since he's driving without a trailer, he's much faster than they are. They're pulling a 25-ton drill. As Tom closes in, Mike tells Gertie, "You drive. I'll handle him." Mike jumps onto Tom's truck and they get into a vicious fight. They both fall off the truck onto the road. After a long struggle, Mike manages to get back into the truck. Tom tries to follow, but Mike quickly straps him with a seatbelt and pulls a fast move, sending Tom flying. Finally, Tom dies. Meanwhile, Tantu's truck gets stuck on a bridge, which is collapsing from underneath. But just in the nick of time, they manage to cross it. Mike realizes Tom is still alive and rushes back to fight him again. They get into another brutal fight, and this time, Mike knocks him out and jumps off the moving truck. The road collapses ahead of Tom, revealing freezing water beneath. Tom and the truck plunge into the icy depths and vanish. After crossing the bridge, Tantu, Gertie, and Mike stop to catch their breath. Suddenly, the truck starts sliding backward. Tantu jumps in and tries to stop it, while Gertie closes the metal gate after the bridge and stands in front of it, trying to stop the truck with his body. Sadly, the truck slams into him, and Gertie dies. Mike arrives just in time to see his brother's lifeless body and breaks down in tears. But there's no time to mourn. There are still people trapped in the tunnel who will die if the drill doesn't arrive on time. Mike and Tantu make it to the tunnel with the drill, and the rescue operation begins. Finally, they manage to save the trapped workers. Tantu sees her brother, and they share an emotional hug. The minister and the police learn about George's role in everything, and he gets arrested. Mike receives the reward he was promised, and uses it to buy the truck he had always dreamed of. And that's how the movie ends. If you enjoyed the film, give us a like and drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.